now we're down to the last book of the day. This book is about a girl named Daisy. And do you ever get the feeling that your parents never listen to a word you say? If you do, then you're very like Daisy. Daisy says that she could tell her parents that her hair was on fire or that the dog ate the postman, and they would just say, "Ah, that's nice, dear," not listening, or "Have you told your gran?" or "Can't you see I'm on the phone?" Well, one day Daisy had something really, really important to say, and guess what? No one listened. Well, this is what happened. This book is called Rhinos Don't Eat Pancakes, and it's written by Anna Kemp and Sarah Ogilvie. I hope I pronounced that right. So, Daisy was eating her breakfast when a purple rhino strolled into the kitchen. That's right, a purple rhino. It was as big as a bus and as purple as a plum. It was also a bit peckish, so it took a chomp of Daisy's pancakes and went upstairs. "Mom! Mom!" Daisy called. "There's a big—" "Tell your dad," said Mum. "He'll catch it in a mug and throw it out of the window." "Dad! Dad!" said Daisy. "Shh!" said Dad. "The spider can wait." "But it's not a spider," Daisy shouted. "It's a big purple rhinoceros." But, as usual, nobody listened. Meanwhile, the rhino made himself at home. Daisy saw him in the hall. Then she spied him in the bathroom and surprised him on the loo. But every time she tried to tell her parents, they'd say, "Shh, Daisy, can't you see we're busy?" Daisy's parents were busy all week. So Daisy began to talk to the rhino instead. Soon they became good friends. They played hoopla and made pizza together. And the rhino tickled Daisy until she thought she'd burst. But Daisy's parents didn't notice. Until the pancakes ran out. "Who ate all the pancakes?" yelled Dad, looking straight at Daisy. "It was the rhino," said Daisy. "Rhinos don't eat pancakes," said Dad. "This one does," said Daisy. "I saw him in the kitchen." "A rhino," said Mum. "In the kitchen," said Dad. "Yes," said Daisy, "exactly." Mum and Dad roared with laughter. "Whatever next?" they hooted. "A shark in the toilet? A polar bear in the fridge?" "There is! Look!" she yelled. But Mum and Dad were so busy laughing that they didn't even notice. "Come on, Rhino," said Daisy. "I've had enough of this." The rhino tickled Daisy with his horn, but she was far too glum to giggle. "Mum and Dad never listen," she sighed. "They're always a million miles away." The rhino sighed deeply through his large purple nostrils. "I'm sorry, Rhino," said Daisy. "Your family are a million miles away too, aren't they?" The rhino nodded, and a lilac tear fell down his face. Poor Rhino. That night, Daisy sat up, thinking on ways to get the rhino back to his family. He was too heavy for a hot air balloon, and too big for Daisy's dinghy. She thought about lending him her bike, but the helmet would never fit. The next morning, Mum and Dad had a surprise. "We're taking you to the zoo," said Mum, "so you can see a real rhino." "What do you think of that?" grinned Dad. Daisy thought it was a stupid idea, seeing as there was a perfectly good rhinoceros sitting on the sofa. But she didn't say so. So what was the point? nobody would listen. At the zoo, Daisy saw yellow giraffes and bright red parrots, orange and black tigers, and grass green snakes. But she couldn't help thinking about her poor rhino. Hurry up, Daisy, the rhinos are this way. But what was this? Missing! Big purple rhino. Likes pancakes. If found, please call the zoo. Cripes! Gasped Mum. Well, that explains the pancakes, said Dad. Mum and Dad and Daisy rushed back home, and guess what they saw when they got there? That's right, the biggest, purplest rhinoceros in town. What did I tell you? Said Daisy, grinning from ear to ear. I'm phoning the zoo, said Mum. The rhino looked startled. No, said Daisy, not the zoo. He needs to get back to his family, and they're 1,000,000 miles away. Well, we'd better get a move on, said Dad. The next flight to 1,000,000 miles away leaves this afternoon. The rhino packed his suitcase, and Daisy found his hat. Then they all pushed his big purple bottom into the back of the car. I'll miss you, said Daisy, as the rhino boarded the plane. The rhino gave her a big purple hug. He would miss her too. Back home, Daisy began to feel lonely again. Who would listen to her now? But little did she realise that everything was about to change. Tell us about the rhino, Daisy, asked Mum. Yes, said Dad. Tell us about that big purple pancake-eating rhino. So Daisy told him about the hoopla and about the pizza and the tickles, and guess what? They listened and listened until she completely ran out of words. It was brilliant. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us? Mum asked, as she tucked Daisy into bed that night. Daisy looked out onto the landing. No, she said. That's all for now. Smiling. Night-night. The big pink polar bear would have to wait until tomorrow.